this is a gathering of good people who are serious about dealing with the topic that we have in front of us, and that is defeating state capture and rebuilding the state. I think that's the topic. But you know, we've got to define what we mean by state, because somebody called Jacob Zuma said, what's the state capture? What's a state, you know? So does that mean every municipality, every province, every national government department is captured? Does that mean, and the state, he went on to lecture us, is, you know, 3 arms of the state. Does that mean the judiciary is captured? Does that mean SARS is captured? Well, you know, Ed Kieswetter is here and he'll tell us whether SARS is still captured. But what we do know is that the processes are in motion. That it's not that we are going to work out a strategy today to see how we best deal with these challenges that we are confronted by. But the process has started. How can we entrench it? How can we support it? How can we expedite it? What more can we do to tackle and end all manifestations and all forms of state capture? And as you know, the Zondo Commission doesn't only deal with state capture, it deals with state capture and corruption. So, you know, what is understood by state capture often doesn't include all the forms of corruption that happen in our country and in society. And we want to, of course, I am sure that we all want to collectively here rid ourselves of all forms of corruption and looting. And so we have multiple challenges, but today we focus on those two. You know, the state capture component. We get reports from people in very important institutions. We have judges here, we have deputy ministers here, we have commissioners of South African Revenue Service here. Oh, sorry, just one commissioner. So I think it promises to be a really interesting day. The good thing about South Africa is that we will not easily be silenced. So all of you who describe yourselves, and we describe ourselves as civil society, you know, we are only members of civil society if we are sort of active voices for something positive. So we're not part of the state. I would suggest that there's nothing wrong with being part of civil society and working in partnership with various organs of the state. Some of you do that, some of you don't. That doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is that we've got to get a unity of purpose. A unity of where we want South Africa to be. Now, we do know that the Kathrada Foundation, in particular, focuses on building non-racialism. So that's the longer-term vision of where we want to be as a country. A non-racial, non-sexist, united democratic South Africa. And there's a long way to go. There's lots to do. We have to actively combat all forms and manifestations of racism. And we have to change the thinking, our own thinking, the thinking of society, behavior, so that we can ultimately reach the goal that is easier said than done. So we can share lots of quotes with you on what we mean by a non-racial society, but that has to be the ultimate goal, where we live in a society where a society and a country that we can be proud of, a country that is serving the people, a state, a government, and various spheres of government that are serving the people properly, people's lives improving, moving away from the artificial divides and the racial barriers towards a society where you're not defined by, nor are you limited by the color of your skin. So these are goals. But for the moment, right now, we are facing formidable challenges, huge challenges, of a country that seemed to be, and I think many of us would have believed, that we were on the right path. The economy was growing, we were strengthening state institutions, some state institutions were performing really well, and then what we've seen in the last decade is a backward movement, is regression, is, and so all of the advances made, or many of the advances made, were being eroded. And that has to, and does, in fact, worry us very deeply. I don't know if we're going to go into that kind of analysis today. I think you're going to get reports from representatives and leaders of various institutions on different topics that are listed, that are there on your program. I did issue a statement on this conference, and so you have it in front of you. I haven't got much to add to that, but it says in the second line, this conference presents an opportunity for the sector to take stock of where the country is with regard to tackling state capture and identify the focal areas that require attention. So, what are the areas? There are many areas that require attention. Which are the key areas that require attention? What kind of attention? Who's going to do it and how? And I think, we're not going to come up with all of the answers in today's discussion. There are a number of issues out there and a number of people here that are working very well in their particular corners, in their areas of focus. And that has to be shared because we can't be working in little isolated pockets. We have to be working jointly, understanding what we are all doing. If we are saying, here's a civil society that is diverse, people of with different interests and different understandings. So we don't pretend that we all have exactly the same view of what kind of state that we're trying to construct. But we have a common understanding of what we don't want, at least. We have a common understanding and common beliefs about some of the things that we do want. Now, there's no problem with the diversity of opinions and views. So it's not that, we shouldn't pretend for 1 minute that we all want exactly the same thing. But there are some things that we all want. And those things that we all want, we need to work together to achieve. So with those few words, you're really welcome, all you civilized people who are sitting here from civil society. We're looking forward to a robust discussion because there are presentations which I'm sure are going to be illuminating, interesting and helpful. But I think the question time is also going to be helpful. I'm so pleased that we have a judge here, This judge just is unstoppable. Are you no longer a judge? Have you retired, like me? Judges never retire. So we're so delighted to have you here, Judge. I think you have a long track record, a long history, and you're still here with us, and that's great. There are many veterans. Part of the statement says we're trying to promote and advance the work that was done by our many activists in the liberation struggle, including, of course, Ahmed, but many others. There are many veterans here that have long and proud track records of bringing an end to apartheid, of bringing democracy to our country. But now, we go beyond that. We say, well, working together with the veterans, with the younger generation, we forge a common interest and a common vision, and we work together to achieve that vision. Thank you very much.